Good morning. Here is the recording of our coaching module. Remember, we first started off with our kickoff module, was really learning about our heart and our belief with Avon. Next, we went into conversation selling, which really allowed us to step back and to begin that relationship building course with our new representatives and also with our customers. We then took what we learned in conversational selling and put it into the goal setting application guide to see where we could find the opportunity in our business and then where we can see some growth. We then took what we learned from goal setting and we put it in our planning module. How does our week look? How does our day look? And what works best for us? All of this works to help our downline and to coach and train them. So everything that you're learning in these modules, you want to duplicate yourself in the representatives that you appoint and bring onto your team. So now that we've talked about your belief and your heart, conversational selling, goal setting and planning, we're now going to bring it all together in coaching. So here we begin. So during our planning calls, we had talked about your next leaders on your teams. I bet those people need some help to get there. And with the Avon Coach approach, some of those skills you are already practicing in your selling conversations, you can now be the coach that helps them achieve their dreams. So here's our agenda. Support, the second S in BOSS. We're going to talk about knowing who to coach, the Avon Coach approach before you begin coaching, what the coaching interaction looks like, talking about coaching is like selling, and also having a plan. Coaching is the one way you can support your team, help them lather, rinse, and repeat all of the skills needed to grow their Avon business. This module is about the S in BOSS, talking about support. So I want you to think back about a person that you knew. It could be a boss, a coach, mentor, neighbor, family, or just a family friend. Who would you say was the greatest coach you ever knew? And what made them great? Before we explore how to coach, it's extremely important to understand who to coach. A recent study published by Harvard Business Review identified that most coaches spend time coaching poor performers and high performers while ignoring the core performers. Think about the individuals you coach today. You may not think of it as formal coaching, but I would imagine there are some team members that get more attention than others. Coaching poor performers often feels appropriate as there is nowhere to go but up. You have to consider, though, that these individuals may not be in the right role to begin with based on their skill set. So think back again. Have you ever spent a bunch of time coaching someone who just didn't improve? And think about what the issue was. So aside from poor performers, coaching high performers can be easy and more fun, but some of those individuals aren't necessarily motivated to change something that isn't broken. The research shows that it is actually the core or mid-tier performers that represent the biggest opportunity for impacting your team's overall performance. Even a moderate improvement of coaching these core performers is said to improve your business by 19%. Prioritize your coaching time wisely by seeking out high potential core performers that are enthusiastic and open to feedback. There is an old saying that says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for a lifetime. Being someone that others want to follow comes to empowering individuals to be the best version of themselves. It's not about doing things for them, leading alongside them, or micromanaging every movement. Instead, it's about building them up, supporting their efforts, and coaching them to be a leader. When you do this, you empower people to become the entrepreneur they see themselves being. They, in turn, can bring this amazing Avon opportunity to others. Coaching your team can help you grow your Avon business by enriching the lives of your team. Your team can support you as you reach your dreams. The Avon Coach approach is about developing trusted relationships through intentional interactions designed to build confidence through inspiring a person's heart. We'll talk about each of these elements in the seminar today. So when you're starting to coach someone, please remember these few rules. Always ask their permission. Before you even start coaching, get to know her heart and her belief. Plan to build a trusted relationship and identify her coaching priorities. These steps contribute to building a trust with the person and respecting her needs and her wants. So once you identify someone that you would like to coach, you need to ask for her permission. These are the 5 steps. Share why you would like to coach her. Ask for her thoughts. Ask for her permission. And if she says yes, start building a relationship. If she says no, acknowledge her response. Offer support whenever she needs it, but find someone else to invest time in. In order to inspire an individual, you have to first understand the individual. You will want to understand why they will have an Avon business, as well as what's important to them. By asking some of these questions, you can learn a lot about a leader's heart. What does she want in life? What does she not want? Why does she have an Avon business? How does running an Avon business make her feel? And how has her Avon business changed her life in a positive way? Think about a member of your team. Are you able to articulate the answers to these questions? We tend to think about the 3 R words when building trust: being real, being relatable, and being reliable. To be real requires you to be authentic, realistic, and to share your story. This leads to the individual being able to relate to you. Being relatable requires that you listen, you empathize, and you tailor your message to their story. For example, if a team member is struggling with how to manage their time more effectively, provide guidance based on your experience. This isn't just about leading by example, but it's helping your team realize that you were once in their shoes and you overcame many of the same obstacles that they are now facing. Seeing your success will make you more relatable and motivate them to strive because you've accomplished it. Being reliable is all about establishing credibility, being consistent, and being present. So be real, be relatable, and be reliable. Think about being trustworthy. What might you do that you can either build trust or you can erode it very, very quickly? It is a great idea to talk with your team members about her coaching priorities so you can help her in the areas that she feels are more important. As you probably remember, we worked to identify your individual coaching priorities when you took the self-assessment during the kickoff module. You should consider doing a similar exercise with your team. Ask her to review the competencies and share where she thinks she is strong and what areas she would like to work on. You can also suggest areas where you feel you can make an impact and grow her Avon business. By identifying coaching priorities, you can prioritize your coaching conversations to maximize their impact. So think about what areas you feel your team members need the most coaching. Once you have done these steps, you need to ask her for her permission. You can begin to have coaching interactions. By now, you have asked for her permission, you know her well, and you have begun to establish a trusted relationship. She has prioritized her coaching needs and she's feeling good about your relationship, and she's receptive to your ideas and also to your suggestions. If trust is required to build a relationship, intentional interactions can solidify the relationship. To build trust with each interaction, make sure you consider the following 4 steps. Identify a need. Understanding what the individual is struggling to overcome will allow you to provide relevant coaching. The problem is, sometimes it's not as easy as an individual exclaiming, "I have a weakness in this area." So how can we, as coaches, identify in other ways beyond the coaching priorities discussed that we had? You need to investigate why. Why is there a need? Might the individual be aware of what's expected of them? Are they demonstrating awareness in a consistent fashion? Understanding why allows you to tailor your support. And instill confidence. What can you recommend and share that will motivate the individual to move forward and to try harder? Thinking back to the importance of being real and relatable, how can you leverage your experience as a way to instill confidence? Think back about a solution where you had to identify a skill gap and how you worked with it. How can you help others feel confident so that they can overcome the same obstacle? And to inspire action. This is all about identifying opportunities for the individual to practice in real time, coming up with a call to action that includes specific next steps for the person to follow will inspire them. It's important to agree on a time to follow up to see how things went as well. Coaching interactions are very much like selling conversations. You can see that identifying needs and investigating why, the first steps in the coaching interaction, are similar to the G in GROW. Get to know her and her needs. You should use the same skills as you do when selling. Ask good open-ended questions and dig deeper with follow-up questions to understand more. Instilling confidence in a coaching interaction aligns well with the G and O in GROW. In order to instill confidence with your team member, you need to recommend some possible solutions, offer stories and best practices to motivate her to try and see that the solutions can make a difference. Finally, to inspire action in the coaching conversation, you are working to establish next steps, which is the W in GROW. You want to work with your team member, identify what she can do to practice her skills or try new approaches soon after the interaction. Collaborate on a call to action, gain her commitment, and follow up to see how it went. Follow up is not only important to provide accountability, but it is also an opportunity to celebrate success. So not only do selling conversations and coaching interactions involve similar steps, they also require one very important skill to be successful: listening with questions. As a coach and as a salesperson, it is vital to ask a lot of good, open-ended questions and listen. Listen carefully to the person you are speaking with. There are a broad range of benefits from effective listening, from being able to connect in a more meaningful way to help individuals self-discover opportunities for growth and ideas for improvement. So let's review the do's and don'ts of effective questioning. Ask questions one at a time. Keep questions brief and clear, and try not to clarify or rephrase the question. This often creates confusion. Ask open-ended questions. Avoid yes or no questions by starting the question with why or how. This prompts the individual to think for themselves. You can't get a discussion going if you only require one syllable response. Ask follow-up questions that don't lead the witness, and try not to answer your own question in the follow-up. So this is an example. So what's contributing to your increase in sales? Is it the new brochure? Ask the question and then listen. Don't be afraid of silence. Be patient. Waiting is a signal that you want thoughtful participation. Count to yourself while the individual or your team thinks. The silence rarely lasts more than 10 seconds. Talk less and listen more. Active listening is just as, if not more, important than good questioning strategy. This is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to being real. Imagine you're in a meeting with me, your coach, and in the middle of the conversation, I take a call or leave you hanging for 5 to 10 minutes. How does this make you feel? Be reliable and listen to your coachee. It only takes seconds to erode the trust. So consider implementing the following tips. Listen without opinion. Clear your head. Focus on the person. Make sure your cell phone is off. Reflect to ensure that you are talking less and listening more. And halfway through the conversation, take stock. Am I talking too much or am I talking too little? Listening is more than just hearing what they're saying. It's also about reading between the lines to understand what they are not telling you. Key takeaway here is to talk less and to listen more by using an effective questioning strategy and practicing the art of listening. So let's discuss an example. Here we have Jill. Jill is a bronze ambassador who is very eager to build her Avon business. You have been coaching her for a few months and she has clearly communicated that she is having trouble recruiting new team members. In anticipation of next week's coaching conversations, put yourself in a position of the coach in this scenario. What questions might you ask when investigating why Jill is unable to recruit new team members? So these are some questions you could ask. I understand you're having a hard time with recruiting. Why do you think that is? Where do you struggle the most? She may come back with networking, discovery, communicating value, storytelling, closing, etc. Have you ever had to recruit at a prior job or in a different role? As you consider how best to instill confidence in Jill, what stories could you tell her to make her feel more confident? Can you talk about your past experience recruiting? For example, here's what I did and it worked well for me. Can you talk about how others on the team became comfortable? So now we're moving on to inspiring action and assume that while we were investigating the why, we uncovered that Jill lacks the skills to do effective discovery because she has never had to do it before. What might you recommend to Jill to become more comfortable executing discovery? Can you educate Jill on how discovery is to be educated and executed? Can you set aside time to show Jill how you execute discovery? Can you shadow Jill, or can Jill shadow a fellow team member? Can you role play with Jill so that she can practice executing discovery? So as you engage in the coaching interaction with your team members, it is important to document the process. We have developed a coaching plan for this process. You will receive it in this email, and it is an editable PDF for your application. The coaching plan includes the following sections. Why? Why did you choose this person to coach? Before you begin coaching, did you ask her permission? Did you learn the leader's heart, prepare to build trust, and identify coaching priorities? What have you learned about the person, her heart, and her belief? Competence. What are her coaching priorities? What is your plan for coaching them? And relationship. Based on what you know, how will you customize your approach to build trust with her? How are you going to be real, relatable, and reliable? Interactions for each coaching interaction. What is your plan? Notes for interaction and follow-up steps or next items. Think about how you're going to use this tool and how it's going to help you be a better coach. The hot question of the day is, who has influenced your success with your Avon business and why? And we'll leave this module with developing trusted relationships through intentional interactions designed to build competence through inspiring the person's heart. So with that, If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call, and I'll speak to you all on your one-on-ones.